Hi, guys. Hope you're having a great evening. This is Fred and Sheila with Hatfield McCoy Museum and Adventures and FS Investigates.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. This is going to be part 3 and final part of
Mm-hmm.
this video. And what we've been covering is Lieutenant Colonel Doug Asher's book,
Mm-hmm.
chapter in the book dealing with, it's titled The Big Gray Cover Up. If you've
Right.
watched part 1 and 2,
We
you
know
know what
now.
it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't watched part 1 and 2, you need to stop here and go watch them so you'll be up to date on this book and what we're discussing, which is the death of Kentucky State Trooper Johnny Edrington, December the 20th, 1988,
Right.
Laurel County, Kentucky, on Route 80. Um, where we left off at a while ago, guys, is where Lieutenant Colonel Doug Asher was saying there was mounting evidence. And I was commenting on that, and the time ran out, so we'll pick up here. But
Okay.
I'm missing something on the mounting evidence because we just don't see that. And the command staff wasn't buying what Asher was selling. See, Lieutenant Colonel Asher is into it, and he's blaming the command staff in Frankfort, Kentucky, with the state police because he says that Trooper Edrington's death was a S-side. It's now 36 years later. He wrote that book, and he says that 35 years earlier, that Trooper died. It was a S-side, and but yet it was declared a homicide, which
Mm-hmm.
we believe it to be. No evidence of a S-side, other than the person shot in the head and the gun in
The wrong
his
hand.
hand,
Mm-hmm.
the wrong hand, to beat that, the wrong hand. But the gun was found in his hand. Now, we've asked this question in 1 and 2. We won't harp on it, but how many times you see somebody fall to the ground, shooting themselves, and they've still got the gun in their hand, especially when they're holding it with one hand and pulling the trigger with the other, which is what he had to do it from the front like that.
Mm-hmm.
We are, even though Colonel Asher chickens out and fails to name those, he calls the command staff. We commend them for sticking to their beliefs and pursuing the truth in Trooper Edrington's death rather than slandering his family name. If we're going to err, let's err on the side of safety, on the side of justice, on the side of good. If we're going to err on this military veteran, then I'd much rather err and say it was a homicide than I would falsely accuse this man of a S-side. A lot of things people don't know about this. Johnny Edrington, Trooper Johnny Edrington,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even supposed to be working that night.
Exactly.
He wasn't supposed to be working that night, right, Sheila?
Right.
What was
Right.
he doing?
He spent the day with his dad on the 19th because it was his
He
birthday.
traded his dad. He traded another
Days.
trooper
Mm-hmm.
days
Mm-hmm.
so he could be off the day before.
Because he wanted to spend it with him. He was
He
close with his dad.
he spent that day with his father on the 19th because that's his father's birthday. Look at the father's tombstone and you'll see where he was born on December the 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are we to really believe that this boy loved his dad so much and respected and honored his father so much that he's going to take off, spend the day with him on his birthday, and then dishonor him the next day by committing S-side the very next day after his birthday? Do we believe that? Because
Mm-hmm.
you all might. Sheila and I don't. Not from what we've heard about Johnny. We didn't know Johnny Edrington, but from what we do now, we know a lot about Johnny Edrington and his morals. Did he run up on something? Did he see something maybe he wasn't supposed to see? Did he pull somebody over he wasn't supposed to pull over? Did somebody pull up to him to want to talk because they wanted to ask him a question about something that he may or may not know, and it
Mm-hmm.
went south and
Yeah.
too many questions, but not a S side,
Right.
not a S side. Asher said, in spite, this is his words, in spite of overwhelming evidence which pointed to the death being a S side and zero evidence indicating it had been a homicide. That is this Kentucky State Trooper Lieutenant Colonel's own words.
Yeah.
In spite of the overwhelming evidence which pointed to a S side, to the zero evidence that it was a homicide. Really? Zero evidence? You're on the side. A police officer's working in uniform. He's got his blue lights on, his radar's locked in, his spotlight's on. He's out of his car.
Doesn't have his hat on.
He's found dead on the side of the road. And there's no evidence of zero evidence indicating it had been a homicide. When you've got 5 FBI renowned doctor, 2 medical examiners, chief medical examiner, and a director of medical examiner's office, 5 different organizations or people that has said it's a homicide. If we wasn't talking about a man's death, this comment would be laughable. That's how silly it is. Zero evidence of a homicide. Overwhelming evidence of a S side. What's the overwhelming evidence? Where's the note? Where's the video? Where's the eyewitness? That's the only thing that could be overwhelming evidence of a S side. That somebody saw something, he told somebody something, or he left a note. Overwhelming. That's where you write stuff in the history. When you write stuff enough, he's wrote that in this book 5 or 6 times. That and statements like it. This, my friends, is what you call spoken into history, or in this case, written into history. Sheila and I know all about it from Hatfield McCoy history, feud history that we've researched over the years. Asher, the ruling of homicide also went against the informed, experienced opinions of every officer involved in the investigation, the county coroner and the assistant ME, from day one that the death was a suicide.
Well, he's saying it's their opinion, though. Experience opinions.
Yeah, but look here, Sheila. From day one, Asher, the coroner, the 3 detectives, and the assistant ME all ruled it a S side day one. Not day one, hours. Hours one. Hours. Like I said, his body didn't have time to get cold. They done said it was a S side. Assistant ME, assistant medical examiner. We've got the director of medical examiner, David Jones, homicide. We've got the chief medical examiner, George Nichols, homicide. Renowned pathologist,
Vincent DeMayo,
world renowned, homicide. FBI psychological autopsy on the case, homicide. Except he says that everybody involved here wrote it after, in spite of evidence and pointed. He says Asher ruling a homicide went against informed, experienced opinions. I got what you're saying. Yeah. Opinions, everybody's got them, guys.
Instead of
every officer involved in the investigation. It's not every officer involved. Because you have KSP Trooper. Was it Michael
Saps? Michael Saps, yeah.
Michael Saps. Michael Saps didn't agree with that. Chief Medical Examiner George Nichols, FBI Agent Ronald Walker.
There's 3.
Equivocal death investigations. Kentucky State Police Michael Troop. We forgot about him. He's the one who wrote the letter a while ago. David Jones, Director, State Medical Examiner. Captain John Lyle. 6. John Lyle. Remember John Lyle? Asher said, John Lyle said it's probably a suicide, but we'll call it a homicide. Really? But he also said that about the doctor, the famous doctor. But yet the doctor wrote a letter and says it's a homicide. He didn't say we think it's a suicide, but we'll call it a homicide. See, you look at your evidence, guys. and the evidence is not lining up with what Mr. Asher's saying in his book, except the people that he says these things about are, they're dead now. They're dead. We can't ask them if they said this or that, or at least some of them.
Wow.
Let's see here. Medical examiner John Lyle, KSP. Major Jerry Lovett, Lieutenant Colonel Doris Kirkman, KSP. Lieutenant Colonel Charlie Johnson, KSP.
So,
Larry Fentress, KSP. And world-renowned pathologist Vincent
DeMayo.
just to name a few. Yet Asher says every officer involved. Guys, those officers were involved. Those officers, I'll just go ahead and tell you, those officers are the command staff in Frankfurt at the time, or some of them. I don't know if it's all the ones that he's referring to, but those are some command staff troopers right there, state police employees. Asher says as recently as spring of 2023, he compiled a packet of detailed information pertaining to this case. Now, see if this, you don't have the book there to look at, but all through this book, it's got August the 2nd, 8:30 a.m., December the 21st, 9 o'clock. It's got dates, times. That was way back. That was 88. But here he says, Asher says he recently, as recently as spring of 2023. What? 2023. What day, Asher? He gives the date and time and everything of all these things that happened, he says.
Interesting.
But just a year ago, he don't put the date, January the 5th. I went 2023. I went to the state police post. Why is that? That's right now at us. That should have been where a person could have went real time and asked these people. Could went to the state police post and see if there's actually a videotape of him coming in there. I don't doubt that he didn't go, probably because of the response that he said he got. Let's go on. He detailed information pertaining to this case. He says he submitted it to the KSP personnel at post 11, case number 11-84-1844, the Edrington case, in an effort to have the death certificate amended to reflect the cause of death as a suicide. He submitted paperwork, a supplemental report to the Kentucky State Police, and asked them to put that in Johnny Edrington's file, that he wanted the death certificate changed to suicide, to S-side. Asher says the supplement was not met with enthusiasm from the KSP. And he says, I hope the personnel at Post 11 had the integrity to actually include it in the case file. We do too. We hope they had more integrity than the post commander was when Johnny Edrington was killed, and stuck to their guns. If they really believed this, stuck to his beliefs and went public. Might have lost his job, might have lost his retirement, but daggone, you would have known he believed in it. He believed into it that much. He just hoped that they had the integrity at Post 11. Well, I have to agree with him on Post 11 and integrity. I would have to agree that they're not noted at Post 11 for having integrity. That's from personal experience. But I can see not being met with enthusiasm neither. You wait 35 years. You wait 35 years and you return to the post that you once was in charge of, and you want to put a supplement into the report. So down the road, 100 years from now, when somebody's researching this, they say, well, look here, this guy, he called it. No, he didn't call it. He called it 35 years later. He called it 30 years after he's got 30-year retirement coming in. Sheila and I can only hope they have more integrity than Lieutenant Colonel Asher. That's probably more on me. Sheila ain't going to badmouth nobody. I wrote that. Sheila, well, you can see, Sheila and I can only hope they have more integrity than Lieutenant Colonel Asher. and while he was captain of Post 11 and failed to stand up publicly, drawing attention to this case rather than wait until he's drawing a hefty retirement 30 years later and decides to write a book. You decide. You decide. We've got the death certificate coming. I've got a note there, but we don't have it here. We'll show you. But the death certificate says on it, homicide. No question. It doesn't say was probably a S side, but we're going to mark it a homicide. It doesn't say that. His death certificate says death cause homicide. That's what it is. Homicide. And unless there's a note, a video, an eyewitness. Here's just some notes that we got here. Somebody asked, why was there no radio call? Why no radio call from Trooper on the traffic stop? Good question. We love your questions. We love your comments. We read them all. Only two reasons for that. One of them is
no signal.
No signal. This is 1988, guys. We carried a little transformer, a little linear in the back of our car.
Exactly.
With a big old whip antenna on our cars. That was our radio communication. When you got in a bad spot, when you got down in a dip, like he was in, going down towards the Rockcastle River at the county line, probably didn't have no reception there. We've even heard from other troopers that there was no reception there. It was bad for reception. And the other thing that
someone he knew just didn't call it in.
Someone he knew. Somebody pulled up that he knew. He recognized him. He got out, left his hat in the car, got out. What's going on? What you been into?
What you up to? Yeah.
I've heard this or I've heard that or did you see this or did you see that? See, Johnny Edrington once upon a time, or even during this time, had been doing some undercover work. I won't go into that a lot because that will be something the investigators, if we ever get some credible, reputable investigators, they will find that out if they don't know it already or didn't know it. He'd been doing some undercover work in adjoining county. Did he run up on something? Did he hear something? Did he see something?
Did he find out?
Did he find out something? Did he find out something on truck over the hill? If you're ever up over the White Oak Road there, there's supposed to be an insurance curve or a hill or something where people dumps a bunch of vehicles. Supposed to be a truck over there. See if there's a truck, a red, white,
light colored
truck. See if it's over there. Get a VIN number off of it. Let's see. That may have something to do with Johnny's death. His flashlight was 5 feet away from him.
Yeah.
No hat on, no rain cover, but raining heavy. He wouldn't have only had his hat there. He would have had a rain cover, the little plastic covering over the hat. Again, the coat. We discussed that in the first video, part 1. Where's his coat? If anybody's got metal detectors, go metal detect it. Need other YouTubers to get involved. Guys, here's where you can help us. If you're watching this video, you're probably a YouTuber. You're probably watch YouTube videos. Share this. Share this with some of your favorite video people. Duty Ron, Fishing with Tate. Some of these guys has got hundreds of thousands of viewers. JLR.
Yeah.
All these guys. This is an interesting case. This is not Fred and Sheila's case. This is Kentucky's case. This is YouTuber's case. Lawyer. What's that? Lawyer. Civil rights lawyer. Civil rights lawyer. Southern drawl lawyer. Guys, if you're a lawyer, as you're listening to this video, if you think there's a slander or libel case there, it'd be good to, you may just put, we're making a video after it hangs up. Get a hold of these people. Give this to them. What's the guy, Vinny something on Court TV or something? Get a hold of these people and hook them up with this case. Tell them to research Johnny Edrington. State trooper, dents on the cruiser, hood ornament, scratch marks. Asher was butthurt, what we were told, because he was kicked off the case. That would butthurt somebody, wouldn't it? You're the captain of the post, and You're asked not to send anything else relevant to your son's case. You don't want nothing else sent to him because he messed up the death certificate, he messed up this, that, his date of birth. He didn't put down that he was a veteran. That's hurtful to parents. That would be hurtful that your son's a veteran, served honorably discharged, and you don't even put that on his. That would be hurtful. They were asked not to share any more information with Doug Asher. He took it personal. You can tell that by reading his book, in my opinion.
Okay.
Lost uniform shirt. Contrary to what you see on the comments, lost uniform shirt. Believe it. Believe it. Until we see it, the shirt, and know that it's tested in DNA and it's his, they've lost that shirt. They didn't lose it. They didn't lose it. Something happened to the shirt. Something happened to the shirt. What happened to it? You wonder why the state police is embarrassed and won't reopen the case? Wow. Kentucky State Police troopers out there that are good troopers, law-abiding, and want the truth on it. You should be raising Cain with your colonel and with your heavies up there. You should be raising Cain. What if this was you? This could happen to you tonight. How do you know that you wouldn't be treated the same way as that man in that box? You could be treated the same way. Would you want that? Spelled Johnny's name wrong, didn't serve, wasn't a veteran. Letter from Doug Asher where he made the corrections. Johnny's mom and dad upset. The second autopsy review performed by Vincent Joseph Martin
DeMayo. Sorry.
Lee Harvey Oswald, Phil Spector. He's the one done the autopsies for them.
Mm-hmm.
He too ruled this a homicide. Asher said his uniform was perfect, but all newspaper accounts and anybody else that was there. Guys, do you believe his uniform was perfect? 0.7 7/10 of rain or something that day. 70% of rain. It was raining then. Look at your newspaper articles at the troopers with the raincoats and stuff on. Look at that. Uniform was perfect. Are we to believe that his uniform wasn't perfect if he didn't do nothing but fall in the mud with his hands behind him, leaning over the incline? Oh, wow. That felt good. My back spasm. Cruiser was put in a building but never inspected. What happened to his cruiser? Where's his cruiser at today? Didn't they use it for anything? Did
they just retire it, or what they
did they reissue it? What happened to that cruiser? The VIN number and stuff would be in the report. Shirt, very important. DNA, fiber, hair, blood, fluids. Michael Sapp, KSP trooper, also thought was a homicide. You know, Asher says a while ago, all the people that was in that area, all the people working, well, Michael Sapp was in that area and he felt it was a homicide. Documents requested. Case is still open. Johnny was married 6 months, guys. Once before, we made a mistake. We made some mistakes.
Yeah, and
like I said, Sheila and I don't care to admit them when we're wrong. We're fishing. We just people tells us something. Sometimes we go with it. Sometimes it's the truth. Sometimes somebody had told us. Come to find out, it was somebody that's making comments now that says we have the shirt. They've got the shirt. You're wrong about the shirt, and so forth. It's not people that's credible. It's people that's trying to send people in the wrong direction. Oh, you guys are friends with so-and-so. We ain't friends with nobody in Laurel County as far as knowing anybody or hanging out with people or anything, especially political people. This is not about politics. This is about a man's death, a homicide that's been slandered and called a S-side. Anyway, they told us one time that Johnny was married 5 months and she was 5 months pregnant. Totally incorrect.
That was on a documentation that I'd found that was talking about his case. And
so Johnny was married 6 months and his wife was 2.5 months pregnant when he died.
Exactly.
So she had gotten pregnant. She wasn't pregnant when they got married. Somebody just
Sorry
wanted to
about
badmouth.
that.
Somebody wanted to badmouth and make it look like that. He wasn't having any marital problems.
Right.
Story where detective says Johnny called his father the night before. Somebody put the story out there and said, "Oh, he called his father the night." Well, if he did, because it's his birthday. The night before was his father's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Said he was giving away all of his Christmas gifts out early. He was doing this like he'd planned suicide. There's never been nobody, nowhere in this file, nowhere in that file, state police. Hope they prove us. I hope they don't. But it's in the file if it is. Nowhere has anybody ever said that he was talking S side or
Right.
ate dinner with his family that night, ate dinner with his wife and her family and his sister, I think it was. Gave out Christmas gifts early. That's not true. No truth to it.
No.
Like he was planning to do something on the day after his father's birthday. Come on. Actually traded shifts with another trooper so they could spend the day together with his father.
He wanted to celebrate his birthday with him.
His toxicology come back clean.
Mm-hmm.
No drugs or alcohol. Johnny's right-handed. Gun was in his left hand. Demonstrate. We did. On video too, I believe it is. Hat in the car. Somebody wrote on Facebook and said, "Oh, he left. It was a S side." Not on Facebook, but on our thing. The same person that writes. There's only one person so far that we're following, which is a person of interest. If this case is ever reopened, said he left his hat in the car because he didn't want to discredit the hat. Now, if he'd done that, he discredited the uniform. It fell in the mud,
Yeah.
fell in the rain, had blood all over it. He's worried about discrediting the hat. It's not true. Somebody pulled up so fast on him, he jumped out. Somebody he knew pulled up, wasn't worried about the hat. Several people talked to him that day. Nothing wrong. Several people, family members, friends, met him at gas stations, different places. Nobody had nothing to say that he was acting out of the ordinary or depressed or anything. Spotlight was on. Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's very interesting. Not counting the blue lights and all the spotlight. You only turn your spotlight on when you've got a violator
Exactly.
and you're trying to give that curtain of light. You're trying to blind them so you can. Why would you have your spotlight on? At dinner, wife and his family that evening. Johnny was excited about his wife being pregnant.
Yeah, their first baby.
Family, well, people have talked to the last person that Johnny pulled over that night for speeding. He was taking his wife to the hospital to have a baby, and the fella said, acted normal, real nice, polite to him, and let him go to take his wife. Honorable discharge, military police. Why hasn't the state marked the road in London on Highway 80? That's a good question. Why? I know London. I know that's out of the city limits of London, but state police, why have you not? I know the county of Taylor County and Campbellsville named a park after him, named a highway after him. True hero. True hero.
Good question.
But we don't have the place where Trooper Johnny Edrington was killed, marked 2.4 miles from the Pulaski County line on Route 80. See if y'all can't do something about that, politicians out there. See if you can't get a marker up there. Let's honor Trooper Johnny Edrington. That's where That's where he died at, protecting and serving. It's only right that spot, little cross or something, a plaque or something, be put up on the side of the road there. So one of you politicians out there, or 10, get together and get that done. He worked your county. He worked your city. He lived there in London.
That's a good idea.
Guys, if I seem a little aggravated sometimes, it's because I am. I'm the last person you'll ever want to go to try to get. Everybody always says, "Oh, Fred's eyes says it all," because when I get mad or something, or
Yep.
facial expressions. I've never been a person. I went in the Marine Corps when I was 17 years old, and I grew up in the Marines. And I just don't. I'm not a two-faced person. I'm just
No.
not. What you see is what you get.
Yep.
If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I'll apologize and so forth. I'm not beyond being wrong on things in life,
Sure.
but I will speak my piece, and I have to eat crow sometimes from doing that. That's nothing wrong with that. I'd rather do that than I would go behind somebody's back or be talking about them or saying. There's a lot I'd like to say here. I won't go behind your back and do it.
No.
I'll either do it on the video or on the comments or this and that, or I'll just let it go because I don't know enough about it to. But I guarantee you, if I find the evidence and if we find the proof, you'll be looking at us. You'll be looking at the government. You'll be looking at some police officers because we'll be taking it to them, and it's up to them what they do with it. But if we run across, and we've got it now, there's one specific thread of evidence that we've got that without a doubt proves. Mr. Asher says that overwhelming evidence that it was an S side. Well, we have overwhelming evidence that it was not, because there's people that saw a vehicle pulling out from Trooper Edrington's car that night that had been stopped there on their own, stopped there because he had turned on them and pulled them over,
Yeah.
stopped there because they knew him and wanted to talk.
Yep.
We don't know, but we know there was a car there. So was there a car there and watched him commit S side? No, we don't believe that. That's all I've got, Pumpkin.
All right. The public can decide for themselves what they think.
She's
Really
going to
don't
try to
think
get
so.
these videos out today, all three of them. So you're going to
I'll
have some
try.
watching to do. We're still going to do our live tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Today's Wednesday. 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Talking Thursdays. We'll be live. I don't know how long we'll be live now, because now that we're not going to do the videos, we'll just be on there long enough to talk a few minutes, maybe, if anybody wants to join us. And we don't have to just talk about Johnny or this stuff now. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. We just, no names, no slander, no.
Yes, please don't mention names.
But join us tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and I'll get off here so she can get these videos done.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you're having a great evening. Please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Thanks, guys. God bless.
God bless.